You're listening to Lucky Hawk Talks, the show where Lucky Hawk talks. Now here's your host, Lucky Hawk.
Hello and welcome to a classic edition of Lucky Hawk Talks, coming all the way from October of 2012. On today's episode, I'm talking to the one and only Lloyd Kaufman, the creative genius behind Troma Entertainment. He's directed such cult classics as The Toxic Avenger, Class of Nukem High, Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD, and countless others. His contributions to independent film have inspired such titans as Matt Parker and Trey Stone of South Park, James Gunn, Oliver Stone, among others. We'll talk about that on today's show. So sit back, tune in, and listen to Lucky Hawk talk.
What are we doing here?
Just going to ask you just some short questions for the website.
Of course. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Georgia, from Macon, Georgia.
Oh, it's nice.
Yes, sir. So, how did you get started in film?
I made the mistake of going to Yale University.
Okay.
I was going to be a teacher. This was the 60s. I was going to be a teacher or a social worker and do good things, make the world a better place, teach people with hooks for hands how to finger paint, stuff like that. But Yale roomed me my freshman year. By kismet, fate, Yale roomed me with a guy who ran the Yale Film Society, and our beds. We had a very tiny bedroom. Our beds were head to toe, and at night I would inhale his Godard stinking feet, and the aroma du Troma was born. I started to drift into the Yale Film Society to watch movies, and I just kept getting. Oh, sorry, I just sneezed. I'm so overcome with emotion about this. I was sneezing, and I just kept getting blown away, Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm so emotional. And this is so touching. And I'm reaching deep into my soul. And I'm opening up to you like I've never opened up. You have such a way. You have such a way. I'm just a fountain of personal information. I've never exposed myself so inwardly, so deeply. But I kept drifting into seeing these amazing movies by Chaplin, Keaton, Ford, Stan Brakhage, Lena Wertmuller, not Lena Wertmuller, Leni Riefenstahl, Sam Fuller. And I just kept getting blown away until one night we were watching a movie by Ernst Lubitsch called To Be or Not to Be. And during that movie, I realized that I didn't want to teach the people with hooks for hands how to finger paint. I wanted to film them. And so if you want to blame somebody for Troma, you can blame Ernst Lubitsch, Jack Benny, Robert Stack, and Carol Lombard. Go to their graves and urinate on their graves.
What led you to horror?
Well, a good horror before I got married was something that didn't cost so much back in those days. AIDS wasn't a problem, and all you had to worry about was gonorrhea, really. Occasionally, an occasional dose of syphilis. But I visited many a horror. I spent a year in Africa, and I actually had eyes on my penis. I had so many diseases, social diseases. But AIDS didn't exist back in the 60s. Now, I don't think I would go to horrors. Also, I'm married, so my wife would cut off my penis were I to visit a horror. That's your question?
Yeah, that actually did. What about scary movies? What led you to scary movies?
Well, again, I'm not an expert on scary movies. The movies that we make at Troma, they are, and where we have been a big influence on Peter Jackson and Quentin Tarantino and Eli Roth, I think, and Takashi Miike. There's a whole generation of big-time mainstream directors who have been influenced by Troma and by the films that I've made. And they say that what they think was brilliant is that we combined gore with slapstick comedy, with sex, with police genre. So you take a movie like Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, it's got some pretty erotic stuff in it, it's got some scary stuff in it, it's hilarious, it's romantic, and it's turning Japanese. So Romeo and Juliet is mix in Shakespeare and sex and violence and gore and iambic pentameter and Motorhead. And most recently, Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead, actually has some singing and dancing in the movie. So in addition to all the other genres, musical comedy has been mixed in. So we don't really make scary movies, and I'm not an expert on scary movies. Although I do see, when there's a good one, I make sure to see it. For instance, I caught up with, I saw The Devil. Have you seen that?
I did.
I just caught up with that. That's a masterpiece. And it's pretty, it's not I wouldn't say it's a horror film, but it's definitely disturbing and scary, and yet beautiful. Great film.
Now, you guys, you pride yourselves on being independent, an independent company. What do you think is the most important part of staying independent?
Well, we are independent because we love movies. And we want freedom to make our movies without anybody telling us what to do. And so the trade-off is you have to be independent if you want to have total freedom. You can't make a Hollywood movie because they're going to get involved and make you put Lindsay Lohan in or some other star. I don't like stars. I don't want to work with stars. If you want freedom, you want to be independent. But in order to be independent, then you have to. If you want to be truly independent, you've got to make movies on a small budget, because the more money is in the budget, the more chefs will be in the soup. The more money, the more people are going to be trying to tell you what to do. So our wager, our Pascalian wager is. Have you read the work of Pascal by any chance? Le Pari, the bet that he talks about. Have you read that?
No, don't do much reading.
Oh, you must read it. It's fabulous. Read it in the original French, as I did. He says that the bet, you make a bet in the belief of God, and that you're better off betting on God, because if there is a heaven or a hell, and if God exists, you may get to heaven. Whereas if you don't believe and don't worship God, and He does exist, you're in serious trouble. So my bet is that we're better off with a very, very low budget, which may require us to sleep on the floor and perhaps learn how to defecate in a paper bag. But we have total freedom. And we've been around for Troma is a company that is nearly 40 years old. That is the all-time record for an independent movie studio. No independent movie studio has existed for that long.
What can you tell me about the new movie you're working on?
Well, we made a movie called Class of Nukem High. Have you seen that movie by any chance?
I have.
And by the way, did you know that there you can see about 250 free movies, all Troma movies on YouTube. Troma has a YouTube channel for movies, a YouTube movie channel, and there are about 250 director's cuts on YouTube Troma movie channel, and you can see them all for free. Yes. So we are making we're revisiting Return to the Class of Newcomb High, the original. We're revisiting it, and Stars Media, STARZ Media is our. They're going to distribute in the North American area, and they wanted us to remake it.
Speaking of remakes, what can you tell me about
it's not a remake, it's a revisiting.
Oh, revisiting, okay.
Right. Now, do you remember the Class of Newcomb High? The protagonists were Chrissy and Warren.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the young couple, or do you not remember?
I do not remember.
Oh, very good. Well, the young couple in the Class of Newcomb High were Chrissy and Warren, a boy and a girl. In the Return to Newcomb High, it's actually a fairly different story, and the young couple is Chrissy and Lauren. So,
what can you tell me about the remake, the Toxic Avenger remake?
I don't know anything about it, other than Stephen Pink is supposed to direct it, and that they're going to spend $150 million on it. Otherwise, I have otherwise I have absolutely no knowledge.
Does it get your?
Last I heard that Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and somebody else, but I don't even remember who it was. I'm not involved. We're working on the fifth Toxic Avenger movie, the Toxic Twins, but we don't know anything about them. They don't really. The guy who's producing the Toxic Avenger remake, the $150 million remake, he is an Oscar winner named Akiva Goldsman. Akiva Goldsman won an Oscar for A Beautiful Mind. And he also directed and wrote, I believe, Batman and Robin. And he's a big-time Hollywood guy. But the director, Stephen Pink, directed Hot Tub Time Machine. I believe he also had something to do with writing and directing High Fidelity and some other thing. Grossy Pointy Blanky.
Now,
have you seen Grossy Pointy Blank?
I have not. No, sir.
It's a good one, right? Yeah, it's very good. You'll like it.
I've got to admit, my favorite Troma product is the Toxic Crusaders cartoon.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody's favorite.
I had the toys, watched the show, played the game. If you could have another franchise from Troma in Saturday cartoon format, what would you pick?
Good question. Boy, I would do like Tromaville. I would do something about. I would because the Troma universe is a universe, and all the characters. Kabuki Man lives there. Toxie. I would do something about Welcome to Tromaville and have all the characters there.
Maybe
Tromy the nuclear rodent, Hairy Balls the penis monster, Toxie of course, Sarah. I'd have them all there. Kabuki Man.
Maybe Randall Biggins.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And call it Welcome to Tromaville.
What advice would you have to any up-and-coming filmmakers?
Well, I think that Shakespeare said it best. To thine own self be true. Do what you believe in. Do what is in your heart. To thine own self be true. That was a phrase coined by William Shakespeare, who wrote a best-selling book called 101 Money-Making Screenplay Ideas, otherwise known as Hamlet. So I think that kind of sums it up.
What advice would you give on promoting a film with little to no money?
Well, I would say you should be prepared to pimp horror for your movie. You can't be. I think the biggest mistake filmmakers make is that they think that the selling of their film is low class. They think that promoting and selling and running around doing guerrilla marketing and passing out leaflets, they think that's a low class, that artists don't do that. Artists don't do what Lloyd Kaufman does. Put on clown makeup and run around Cannes Film Festival and squirt blood at people or things of that nature. They think that's low class. They even think that doing the business is low class, that selling is a low class Jewish occupation. And that's a big mistake. Picasso was a brilliant artist, but he was also a very, very good businessman and a great promoter. He was selling constantly. He was always selling. Van Gogh was maybe more brilliant. He even cut his ear off, but he couldn't get into the business side of it. He never did. Charlie Chaplin was a great businessman. He owned his negatives. He certainly was a good promoter. He got himself in the newspapers a lot, constantly promoting, fucked some young in-between chicks. He did it all. Whereas Buster Keaton, he didn't do any business. He was just a contract player at MGM, and I don't think he fucked any children. And Buster Keaton died penniless. And Chaplin, even though Chaplin was blacklisted and kicked out of the country and all that, he was a great promoter. He wasn't embarrassed to promote and sell. He died a rich man, and he had plenty of poontang.
Okay, now I'm going to list off some names of some famous people that have been involved with Troma. And if you would, please just give me a quick idea about them.
Okay.
Marissa Tomei.
Wonderful.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Wonderful.
Matt Stone.
Wonderful.
James Gunn.
Wonderful.
Oliver Stone.
I have to stop. I'm speechless.
Are you directly responsible for Oliver Stone's greatness?
Well, he got into movies because I was making films at Yale, and he kind of hung around. He was writing a crappy novel. He was trying to be James Joyce and failing miserably. And he started hanging around. He was in Battle of Love's Return, one of my early movies. But he would hang out and help me make movies. And turned out he had a shitload of talent. It turned out that he wasn't a great novelist, but his movies are spectacular. And I believe that if I hadn't been making my crappy movies, and he hadn't been attracted to that, I don't think he would have gone into movie making.
So that's a yes.
I'd say so, yeah. I believe so. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, we discovered them.
So you're responsible for South Park as well?
Well, I can't say that. Talent will out, They wanted to be movie makers. I don't think Oliver Stone wanted to be a movie. I don't think he thought about being a movie maker until I attracted him.
Gotcha. So,
I'm pretty attractive, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Well, not now, maybe, but when I was young.
So,
I had lips like a woman, too.
I take it you didn't get a chance to visit the site.
Which site?
Our site.
What is it, blackman.com? What was it, whiteman.com? I can't remember, what was it called? Blankman.com.
Yeah, blankmaninc.com.
Oh, no, I didn't, but do I need to?
No need. Let's say you hypothetically...
I will, right after we finish. Now you got me very interested.
Hypothetically, let's say you've seen the site.
Okay.
What would you say about our site?
Wonderful. You said only one word. You said I shouldn't talk about it.
Well, that's...
I would say that blankmaninc.com is probably the most entertaining and profound website that I have ever been on.
That's an honor to hear, sir.
So you can quote me on that.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you for your time. I guess that just about wraps it up for me.
Very good.
There you have it, folks. Words of praise from Lloyd Kaufman on my website, which he had never seen. Now, if you're trying to access blankmaninc.com yourself, you may find that it no longer exists. It hasn't existed for several years now. But fret not. All you have to do is go to amazon.com/author/luckyhawk to have access to all of my interviews. It's free with Kindle Unlimited, but if you don't have Kindle Unlimited, it's only 99 cents per volume. So go check it out. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to hear more, let me know in the comments. And please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Until next time, this has been Lucky Hawk Talks.